I want to take a step back quick because, you said something earlier, and I think this is something that a lot of agents struggle with and could use a lot of help with when getting onto social media. And, you mentioned you're completely authentic. You share all parts of your life. And you have received some hate and some backlash for that. What do you think has helped you develop the thick skin to deal with that? Because I think that's what a lot of agents struggle with. They're afraid to put themselves out there, their true selves out there, because they are afraid of that rejection, or there's that fear that people are gonna, so where do you think, A, do you have any advice on for people that are feeling that way? And B, is there something you think, more of a story time? Is there something you think that happened in your life, or was it sports, or that has helped you develop that thick skin that you don't care what other people think, right?
So I'm going to quote someone very controversial, probably more controversial than I am. I'm going to quote Candace Owens right now. Life's hard. Get a helmet. Plain and simple. If you think the hate is, get a fucking helmet. Life is hard, right? The hate that you get online, that is this big. It's nothing. So I grew up in a very conservative Greek household. Both my parents are Greek. My grandparents lived with us, and my dad's a tyrant. I'm telling you, when we were on the ice for sports, if we didn't have a fast enough time, it was you're skating laps until you puke. If I didn't get a goal that game, you're skating laps until you puke. You're going home and you're getting on the treadmill and you're running until you puke. So it's that tenacity that gave me that confidence to just be better. When it came down to hate, I was always different in school. I dressed differently. I was bigger than the kids. I've been 6'5" since I was 10 years old. I haven't grown. I was 10. I've been a big boy my whole life.
6'5".
My poor mother. I was born 6'5". You know what I mean? So I got, made fun of for my size my whole life. That's why I became bulimic, because I was bigger than everyone else. So I just thought if I threw up my food, I'd be the same size like the pretty skinny girls. No, I'm just naturally big. And, my mom's 5'11", my dad's 6'1", my brother was 6'3". We're a big family. So that gave me the confidence to just stand up to it, because I was made fun of my whole life. And then on top of that, coming out at such a young age, I was fuck it, I don't care. I'm gay. You like it, great. You don't suck my dick. Plain and simple. I'm sorry if this is not a rated R podcast, but it's going to be. I just don't care. And I have walked into listing appointments, and I'll sit with the seller for 6 minutes. I'm I'm not the guy for you, because your expectations are X. I'm giving you Y, and Y is what's going to happen, but you want X, and that's never going to happen with me. So go call ABC Realtor, and I'll walk out.
Did you always have that since the beginning of your career when you were 21? Or do you feel now that you've got the experience and some road behind you, you're oh, I obviously know the market, I know what's going to happen? Tell me about how that has changed for you.
Yeah, so it came out about year 3 was where my confidence was starting to come. Because I didn't have the sales confidence, because again, at 21, no one's going to trust me. All my parents' friends were cool, you're a realtor, so are half the people at our country club. But we're not going to work with you because you're 21. So I faced a lot of rejection in my career. And that's why I think the cold calling worked, because I was used to getting that no on the phone, that I was okay getting it in person. So if you can say no on the phone, great. In person, you're not going to say no to me, because I'm going to win you over. Because I'm going to smile my dimples, I'm going to flash my beautiful pearly whites, and I'm going to charm you, and you're going to love me. And I'm going to get your listing, or I'm going to get your buy. So the cold calling gave me an additional boost of confidence. But also at the same time, I'm just a naturally confident person. I've spoken across the country, sharing my story about my entire life in rooms of, 1,500 to 2,000 people. It never phases me. I don't get nervous.
I want to know about the transition. You were doing the calls, and then you had started Instagram. Yeah. And there wasn't nearly the training or, other accounts to follow to get, an idea on strategy or anything like that at the time. So when you were calling, what did that transition look like from, were you still calling and posting, and there was a point of inflection where you're I'm not doing the calls anymore because I'm getting enough business off of Instagram? How did that transition look like for you?
So the Instagram business didn't really come heavy until year 3 or 4. Because you got to remember, social media is a slow burn pipeline. The calls were still going on until about early year 2. That's when I switched into door knocking versus cold calling. And that didn't last very long. So I made every excuse in the book not to go out. I'm the drivers are too long. I'm going to ruin my shoes. You guys know, I only wear really expensive designer shoes. Half the time I'm in a Louboutin. You can't walk in those shoes, right? They're meant to be picked up in a private driver, go to the venue, sit your ass down, have your dinner, get up, take your red carpet photo, and leave. You don't door knock in Louboutins. So, and I'm not going to run a fucking Skechers either. So door knocking didn't last me very long. The cold calling, I started to dwindle down. I was going from 1,000 numbers a week to 500 a week. And as long as I spoke to about 10 to 20 people a week, I was happy just to fill my pipeline. But even then, they weren't transitioning over. So I didn't know how to close them, because the sales training that I got at my first brokerage was, here's your script, make these calls. Cool, I have the call, now what do I do? And then I'd pitch it to other agents in the office. I'm how do I close this? And then they would take that lead and close it, and then cut me out of the deal.
Wow, that is ruthless.
Old school real estate.
Man, that's some spark mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Old school real estate. So if you were to give it some advice to a brand new agent, seeing what you went through, like I would have been traumatized if, I went to ask people that I'm supposed to be able to trust within my brokerage for help or advice, moving a client that I've booked an appointment with or built a relationship with forward. What would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give a new agent that is struggling with their sales skills or closing skills to, kind of improve or get better? Obviously, like in 2012, 2013, when you were starting on the phones, there wasn't, the training available that there is today, so on and so forth. Would you have, if there was available to you what there is now, do you think you would have traveled down a different path to learn from others, or?
No, I'm very stubborn and very independent. So I like to fall on my face and never ask for help. I think the advice I would give to a new agent would be, first of all, get in a boxing ring and get your ass handed to you first and foremost. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, take a boxing class and get your ass handed to you. That'll give you the tenacity to get back up again. Because once you're knocked out, you're going to get back up and you're going to keep doing it. That is what real estate sales is like, plain and simple. Second, get yourself a mentor that you can trust. Not any agent in your office, a mentor that you can trust. You don't have to join a team if you're not into that, but get someone who can help you out. So I've taken junior agents on, and I'll give them like a 3-month window where I'll take them out on appointments. And if I get a listing with them, I'll put them on and they'll get like a 10% referral kind of thing. Or if they have a deal, I'll help them out with it. I'll maybe write their clause or, negotiate. I'm like, you know what? Send me a referral, buy me dinner. Like, if it's a small deal, I'm like, buy me dinner. Like, you're not going to take a referral on a fucking lease. You know what I mean? But like, buy me a coffee kind of thing. So that's me. I'm a nicer person. But you really can't trust anyone in this industry. You have to make sure you know who you're working with. If you got a really good team lead, then you're solid. There's a lot of, people within your guys' network that you guys work that I have huge respect for. That if I was on their team, hands down, I trust them in a heartbeat because I just know the people as the person. But 12 years ago, 10 years, whatever it was, like, it wasn't like that. Just find yourself a mentor that you can trust.